Didn't all the speakers do awesome? I mean, just awesome job for all the speakers. And we've got to thank you to Christopher and Michelle. If Christopher and Michelle can stand up. They did an unbelievable job. I told Christopher, I mean, there were a lot of people that helped with the event. And I told Christopher, I said, but Christopher, there's only one head that goes underneath the chopping block if this thing doesn't go to the shores. So he took the pressure for everything, and we've got an unbelievable event tonight. The gala is going to blow you away. Didn't Marlette do a great job, you guys? Always great. Paul Hart, I don't know if Paul Hart's there. Didn't Paul Hart just kill it? Like if you have a job and you listen to Paul Hart, you're just like, oh my God, you know, you just like want to shoot yourself afterwards, right? But don't shoot yourself, right? Hannah Hornstein didn't have to do a great job, you guys. I mean, she did an incredible job. All of our guest speakers, Juan Jaime just totally crushed it at our S&D leadership meeting for those of you that were there. And we have some amazing leaders here, you know. And it's funny because when you come out of an event like this, sometimes you get so much information that you don't really know where to start. You're just like, sometimes we leave convention and it's almost that we got so much positivity, we got so much excitement, and we don't know where to direct that energy, right? And I remember when we first got started, right? When I first got started, I got a phone call from Ed Marlette, right? And it's amazing that these little things that happen in your life, you have no idea how 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, how it will compound in your life and how you can actually change the legacy of your life, right? So I want you to think about this. I've been in the Marine Corps for 13 years. I love being a Marine, and I was that guy. I love having a job, right? If you were to talk to me, I could make a case to you on why I love having a job, right? And when you go in the military, it's funny because the military does a great job at brainwashing you on why money is not everything, right? So I would tell you, hey, it's not about the money. Money's not everything. And you cut me out the green. I'm going to do this for 25, 30 years. I love being in the Marines. It's the camaraderie, the spirit of the Corps, and all of that stuff. So I actually loved my job, right? And the longer I stayed in the military, the more I started to get frustrated because I got to a point. You ever get to a point in your life where you're tired of being tired? I mean, you just like get tired. I want you to think about this. You're already tired, but then you're tired of being tired, right? And I got to that point, and I started doing all these things, and I remember I got prospected one time, and this lady, I was in Newport Beach. I was at a place called the White House in Newport Beach. And on Sunday nights at the White House, they used to have this thing called reggae nights. So me and all my buddies at Crash Fire Rescue, we were all broke. I had this little hoopty. And we're in this little hoopty. It's like 4 or 5 of us. We're shooting down to 134. We get down to Laguna Beach, and we're partying at the White House, right? And the one thing about Marines when they party, wherever there's 2 Marines, there's always one in charge, right? And I was the one in charge that night, so I'm watching everybody, making sure that we don't do anything crazy or anything stupid, because we represent the Marine Corps. And this lady, out of nowhere, it's like 1:30 at night, this lady out of nowhere comes up to me, and she says, I watch your mannerism tonight. And if you were in business with me, part-time, you could make $5,000 to $7,000 part-time. And she gives me her card. She says, make sure you call me, right? And I looked at my buddies, and I looked at her card, and we're walking out the club. And I remember it as if it was yesterday, right? So right in front of the restaurant, you had to valet your car. It's one of those places where you got to valet your car. So her car pulls up, and she's driving a brand new Mercedes-Benz V12 S600. And she's dressed to the hilt. And she's walking to her car, and she looks at me, and she goes, "Make sure you call me, you got what it takes." And I'm hanging out with my 4 buddies, we're all broke, right? And then I look at her card, and I talk to my buddies, and I go like, yeah, it's probably one of these things, you know, she's probably trying to get me into this scam of multi-level deal and all this stuff. And all my buddies are like, yeah. So I get in I had a little Honda Civic, right? I get in my little Honda Civic, and the entire time we're driving back to the base, we're making fun of this lady. And we're like, yeah, oh my God, yeah, $5,000 to $7,000 part-time. Who does $5,000 to $7,000 part-time? It's probably one of these scams. Yeah, it's one of these scams, right? So by the time I left Laguna Beach to get back to El Toro, I thought about 20 different reasons why I shouldn't call it. And I didn't call it, right? This was December of '97, right? Couple months went by. I'm more frustrated, right? Because I'm working 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 48 hours on, 48 hours off at my job. And on my days off, I'm working part-time. I'm doing construction part-time, right? So all the construction workers, they would bid on these jobs, these multi-million-dollar jobs, and what they would do is they would come on base, they would hire 10, 15 Marines, and we would do all the heavy lifting, right? So I get off work, I go do construction, I'm working 10 hours a day doing construction, making $100, and I'm fired up and I'm excited. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I made $100 on my day off, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I got to a point one day, and I was just like, I'm 32 years old at the time. I was like, man, is this what life is all about? And I'm sitting there in my mind, I'm thinking, and all of a sudden, I start thinking about this lady and what she said to me back in December. This is like 6 months later. And I said to her, this little voice said in my mind, "Charlier, give her a call. What do you have to lose?" So I give her a call. I said, "Hey, this is dear Charlier. I met you back in December." And she says, "I remember exactly who you are. And I've always wondered why you didn't call me." And I said, "Well, I just been busy." You know, like when you're broke, you're always busy, right? Broke people are always the busiest people, right? And I said, "Oh, I've just been so busy. I've just been so busy." She says, "Look, I understand you're busy, but we're having a corporate overview down in my office in Brookhurst. I want you to come down. I want you to take a look at this opportunity. This is an opportunity that can change your life." And back then, in '97, we used to get tax returns, right? And I remember I got my tax return check from the IRS. It was like a couple of grand. And back then, we used to go shopping. Me and my buddies, we used to go shopping downtown LA. And the reason we went downtown LA, because downtown LA, you can get like 5 suits, 7 shirts, 4 pairs of shoes, 5 socks, 8 ties for like $199, right? So I had got this bright blue suit. It was this bright blue suit, right? I thought this suit was like the coolest suit, right? And I had wore that suit that night that I was out. And I thought, I was like, man, this suit is like on, right? And so this lady says, "Hey, by the way, remember that suit you wore when I saw you?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Wear that suit." I was like, okay, right? So I put on this bright blue suit, and I called one of my buddies, his name, my buddy that we were drove instructors to, and his name was Smitty. And I said, "Hey, Smitty, I'm going down to this meeting, and I want you to come with me." He's like, no, I'm not going to a meeting. You go by yourself." I said, okay. So I drive down, I get to this meeting, and I want you to think about this. I'm in a parking lot. I'm in my little Honda Civic. I got this bright blue suit on. And then I walk into this meeting, and the office is about 8,000 square feet. There's music. People are excited. People are fired up, kind of like you guys are right now. People are fired up, excited, how you doing, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And literally, I walk in, and I think to myself, I go, oh my God. First of all, 95% of the room was Asian descent. I was like the only brother there in a bright freaking blue suit, right? And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I walked into a cult meeting. This is a freaking cult. Like everybody's saying the same thing. Hi, who invited you? Oh my God, blah, blah, all this stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, I'm not saying anything, but I'm thinking in my mind, oh my God, this I never actually witnessed this, but I'm actually in one of these multi-level marketing, cult following, all this stuff, and then they do the edification. They bring the rich guy up front to talk to you and all this stuff. So I'm sitting in the front row, and I'm watching this guy speak. He's doing a BPM. And the entire time that he's talking, I said, yeah, that's cool, but not for me. Yeah, that's cool, but not for me. Yeah, that's cool, not for me, right? And after the BPM, I was pleasant, I was nice, I said all the right things, and I took my little card and I folded it up, put it in my pocket, and I said, this is not for me. I give the lady a call, and I said, hey, thank you so much for inviting me to your meeting. I really appreciate it. Sounds like a great company. Sounds like you guys do great things. But it's not for me. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. She says, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. I said, yeah, I know, but it's not for me. Right? And I walked away that night after looking at the opportunity. I walked away that night, I was just like, nah, this thing's not for me. Right? Couple months later, like 3 months later, Christiana Mallette gets my number, right? She gets my number. She gives it to Ed. She tells Ed, she says to Ed, she says, Mallette, remember we were talking about that we need to take our business to the next level? So Christiana Mallette and Ed got together, and they were talking about what is it that they need to do to get to the next level. It's funny because I was just talking to someone about this last time. And Mallette was at a place where he was frustrated in his business. And he's just frustrated. And he has a conversation with his mentor. His mentor at the time was a guy by the name of Hubert Humphrey. And Mallette says to Hubert, he says, hey, I've been doing this thing for 7 years. I'm making money. Majority of the people in my business is not making money. And I want to know, what am I doing wrong? I'm recruiting, I'm helping families, but I'm the only guy in my business making money. So Hubert says to Mallette, he says, look, you've been recruiting, but the challenge is you haven't found another you. You don't have someone in your business that loves it just as much as you do. He says, you've been recruiting, but you're not doing specific recruiting. So he says to Mallette, he says, look, if you can recruit the ideal person in your business, what would that profile be? So Mallette writes down the profile, right? This is what I'm looking for. So he goes home, and him and Christiana sit down and go, okay, we're going to make an aggressive vertical move in our business. And Mallette tells Christiana, this is exactly who we're looking for. This is their profile, this is how tall they are, this is what they do, they're married, they have kids, all this stuff. So when Christiana gets my number, Christiana goes, oh my God, this is the guy that we're looking for. So she goes home to Mallette, she says, Ed, I found the guy. This is the exact profile of what you told me we were looking for, right? So anyway, this is going on without my knowledge. So on a Sunday night, I'm at Crash Fire Rescue, just a regular night, I'm on the airfield, and my phone rings, right? I had a rotary dial phone in my office in the military, right? And my phone rings, and I pick up the phone, and I heard, hey, this is Ed Mallette. You don't know me, but we have mutual friends. I've heard a lot of great things about you, and I've got an awesome opportunity that I want to introduce you to. Right? And I said, and he said the name of the company, and I said, look, because I had been to a BPM. I said, look, I took a look at your opportunity, and I'm not interested. It's not for me. And he says, Charlier, he goes, how could you be interested in something you know nothing about? You and I need to meet. He goes, matter of fact, where are you right now? I'm coming to see you. Right? So I was like, okay. So he drives down to the base, and when he drives down to the base, he comes to meet me. I take him around, I give him a tour, of the office, my office, and he sits down, he starts to talk to me about the opportunity. He starts to talk to me about his vision and what he's going to do and all of this stuff. And the entire time he's talking, and I want you to think about this, I didn't really care about what he did. I remember feeling to myself, I remember thinking to myself, this guy's a winner. He's going somewhere. If I could just position myself where I'm around him, right, I can win too. So I put my hand on the presentation. I said, go, look, you don't need to tell me anymore. What do I need to do to get started? And that was June of '98, and that's how I got recruited in WFG, right? So I get recruited in WFG. I'm excited. I got a big ego. I was carrying the colors for the president. I led the Marine Corps South Patrol team. I was a drill sergeant for 2 years, so I had a big ego, right? And I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna crush this thing, blah, 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 all this stuff. So my first conversation I have with my lad, he goes, hey, Charlier, let me tell you something good. Let me tell you something. You've done a lot of stuff in the Marine Corps, but you haven't done anything here. He said to me, he says, look, I'm not gonna pay attention to what you tell me that you're going to do. But I am going to pay attention to what is it that you actually do. He says, you're 33 years old. You've got this incredible career in the Marines. Obviously, you got a lot of people that respect you. Here's what my challenge to you is. My challenge to you is the next BPM. So this was on a Saturday. He said, next BPM is Tuesday night. My challenge to you, Charlier, is Tuesday night, when you come to the BPM, I want you to have no less than 3 guests. And I was just like, oh, I can have 3 guests. And he says to me, I just want to be clear with you. When Tuesday night comes, the only thing that I'm going to pay attention to is that you brought 3 guests. Now, if you don't bring 3 guests, I don't care what the excuse is. I don't care what the excuse is. If you don't bring 3 guests, here's what that means to me. What that means to me is that you have no credibility in your market, and I don't work with people that don't have credibility in their market. And he says, now, let me show you exactly how to invite these guests, right? So he goes through the entire process. If your car broke down in the middle of the night, you'd be the top 3 people and all this stuff. And I said to my letter, I was like, well, I got 3 buddies, and these are my buddies. They'll do anything to help me, right? So he says, okay, who are those 3 buddies? He says, well, I got a buddy by the name of Scott Hemp. He worked for me in the Marine Corps. I got another buddy, Ron Pickett, and I got another buddy, John Meyer. He says, okay. He says, well, those are your 3 guests. Bring those 3 people on Tuesday night. So I said, okay. So I got home, and I was in, and right before I left, he said, Charlier, I just want to be clear. If you don't have 3 guests, I'm not personally working with you, because you ain't got credibility in your market. So he puts a lot of pressure on me. So when I leave that meeting, the only thing that I'm thinking about, I'm not thinking about licensing, 52-hour course, making money. I'm not thinking about any of that. The only thing that I'm thinking about is, I got to bring 3 guests. So I get back home, I'm excited, I got a lot of pressure. I pick up the phone, I call my buddy. I call my buddy Scott. I say, Scott, Charlier, how you doing? He's like, oh, I said, man, I'm doing awesome, man. And I said, hey man, what are you doing Tuesday night? Right? And what do you think he's thinking? We're going to hang out, right? And he goes, nothing, what's going on? I said, Scott, I just got started with a company. I'm so excited about it. My mentor is this guy's 29 years old. He's making over $50,000 a month, and he's going to work with me. But Scott, I need your help. He's like, what do you need, Danny? I said, hey, I need you to come to this meeting with me Tuesday night. And then Scott says to me, well, what is it? I said, Scott, you trust me, don't you? He says, yeah. I said, didn't I just tell you I just got started? Why are you asking me a whole bunch of questions? Are you coming? And he says, yeah. I said, okay, great. Boom, I hung up the phone. Made my next phone call. Hey, Ron, how you doing? This is Dan. Oh my God, Danny, what's going on? I said, hey man, real quick. What you got going on Tuesday night? I just finished talking to Scott. So what do you think he's thinking? He's thinking we're going to hang out. He go, hey man, I got nothing going on. I said, man, I just got started with a company. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. My mentor is making over $50,000 a month, and he's going to personally mentor me, but I need your help. You got to come to this meeting with me. Scott already said he's coming. And Ron goes, I'm in. So I got two now. So the next guy, John Meyer, I called John. I said, John, just got off the phone with Scott, just got off the phone with Ron. We're all good to go for Tuesday night. Is your schedule free Tuesday night? And he's thinking we're going to hang out. He goes, yeah, I'm free. I said, man, I need your help. I'm going out to this meeting. I just got started with a company. My mentor's making over $50,000 a month. He's going to work with me, and I need your help. And he's like, okay, I'm in, Danny. Right? So I said, so after that, I called all three of them. I said, look, I can't afford for any of you not to miss this meeting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to ride in my car, we're going to use my gas, and we're going to ride to the meeting together. They're like, okay, man, you're pretty serious about this. I said, hey, I'm dead serious about it because I found a mentor and I found a company that I can actually change my life and change the legacy of where I'm going. So we all get in the car. We're in the 5 on our way to the 50, to the 6, to the 5, to the 57, to the 60, right? And we're driving, and I'm in the car, and I said, Scott, Ron, John, I need to talk to you guys real quick. They're like, what's up, Danny? I said, look, this is my shot at the big time. I found a mentor. I'm tired of being average. This is my shot. And you guys in here are not going to screw up my freaking shot. Don't walk into this meeting acting like a big shot. Don't say nothing stupid. Because this guy a month makes more a month than we all make combined. So we're all broken here. Don't try to walk in there acting like a big shot. Because he's going to judge me based on the way you guys act. And they're like, wow, you're really serious about it. I'm dead serious. I go, look, when you're listening to the meeting, I want you to sit up front. I want you to take copious notes. Because if he sees you writing, he's going to think you're smart. And that looks good on me, right? So we walk in, and I said, look, he's very intense. He's not going to spend a lot of time talking to you. He's not one of those kind of guys. If you have an opportunity to have 30 seconds around him, consider yourself blessed, because he doesn't spend a lot of time with a lot of people, right? So we walk into the Mozone, and Scott, Ron, and John standing right next to me, and we're standing there, and I said, hey, look down there. And they're looking. I said, you see the little short guy right there? Go, yeah, that's him. They're like, oh, that's him? He says, yeah. I said, okay, I'm going to walk over there. We're going to introduce you. Don't say anything stupid. Smile, shake his hand, and all this stuff, right? So I guess they're all nervous, right? So I bring them over to Ed. I said, hey, Molly, and I wanted Ed to know that I had 3 guests. I said, hey, Ed, I just want to meet you to meet. This is John that I was talking about. This is Ron. This is Scott Ham. These guys work with me in the Marine Corps. And Ed shakes their hands, and Ed said, Charlier told me a lot of great things about you. And based on what Charlier told me about you, I'm going to interview all 3 of you personally myself tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And he walks away. And then I looked at them, I said, oh my God. You guys impressed them already? He's going to personally interview you guys? Right? I said, don't screw it up. Sit in the front row. Take over yourselves, right? So right after the meeting, I go by, I grab their cards. I want you to think about this. Is this going on in your meeting right now? Right? I go back, grab their cards, and I go to Marlette. I put it in Marlette's schedule. We leave. We're in the car. They're fired up. Right? They're like, hey, Dan, what about this? What about that? I go, hey, don't ask me a whole bunch of questions. I'm brand new. I said, write those questions down. Tomorrow at your interview, you'll have a chance to talk to Marlette, right? So I said, look, this interview also represents me. We're not going to leave this to chance. We're all going to drive to the office tomorrow together, right? So we all drive back to the office in the morning. So we're all sitting there. I'm sitting there with Marlette and my 3 guests, and Marlette's doing the interview, right? And it's like a 5-second interview, right? And Marlette goes, look, here's the deal. Charlier already showed me that he's a player. But you guys here, I don't know if you guys got it. But here's the deal. Each one of you, the next BPM, right, which is Saturday, you need to bring 3 guests. He says, have a great day. So we leave. So we get in the car, right? We get in the car, we're driving, and I said, and the car's real quiet. And I said, man, I'm so glad I had my 3 guests. Man, I hope you guys have your 3 guests, right? And Marlette calls me later on. I said, Marlette, man, I'm telling you, I don't think Ron's going to have 3 guests because Ron's cheesy. I don't think John's going to have 3 guests, but John's cheesy. But I tell you what, this guy Scott here, Scott's a freaking stud. Scott will respond to a freaking challenge, right? So, sure enough, Friday comes. Ron doesn't have his 3 guests. He's got 1, and John's like, I don't have anybody. I'm trying. And Scott calls me, and Scott goes, Danny. I said, what's up, Scotty? He says, man, I don't think I'm going to do the 3 guests. I think I have 2. I go, Scott, are you freaking kidding me? I expect that from Ron. I already know Ron, right? I expect that from John. I get John. But I told Marlette, you were the one. You were the stud. There's no freaking way you won't have 3 guests. I go, dude, you got to figure this crap out. There's no way we can go to BPM tomorrow and you don't have 3 guests. There's no way, because it's not going to work with you. And he's like, oh my God, okay. So 11:30 Friday night, Scott calls me, and he goes, hey man, I got my 2, and I got it, because he was doing mortgages on the side. He said, I just hired this assistant, he's 20 years old. And I said, yeah, where are you going with it? He goes, can I bring him to the meeting? I go, I don't care, as long as you got 3 guests, I don't care what you bring. He's like, good, I got my 3, right? So we're rolling to the meeting. They're following me, and Scott is rolling with his 3 guests. John's got 1, and then Ron, I think, had 2, right? So we get to the meeting. So now I got another 3 guests. Scott's got 3, so we got 6. Ron's got 2, and then John's got 1. So we got a total of 8 guests. I think it's 8 or 9 guests. Our second BPM, right? So same thing. Marlette walks around. He goes to speak to Scott. He goes, hey, I'm going to meet with you guys tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock sharp. Before the BPM, he tells him that. Scott's like, oh my God, you guys are awesome. Marlette's going to sit down with you, all this stuff, right? So they come back for the interview. And one of the interviews on Scott Impact Broad was a guy by the name of Rick Stevens. Right? And Rick Stevens is 20 years old. And Marlette looks at him, and Marlette was like 28. I think about like how young we were at the time. Marlette's like 28, right? Marlette looks at Rick Stevens and goes, how old are you? He's like, I'm 20 years old. He's 20 years old. We don't work with anybody that's 20 years old. He's like, tell me about your mom and dad. What does your mom and dad do? He goes, well, my mom does this, and my mom works for Delta Airlines, and my dad works for an attorney firm. He goes, look, this is real simple. Schedule an appointment for us to meet with your mom and dad. And if you can't schedule an appointment for us to meet with your mom and dad, I'm definitely not working with you. Because if your mom and dad will not take the time to find out what their son's doing, here's what that tells me. You don't have any credibility with your mom and dad. So we leave, right? We leave. Everybody's got their challenge. And Rick is sweating. He's like, oh my God, I got to call my mom and dad. How am I going to do? Boom. He books the appointment, right? Next BPM comes, Rick now has to bring 3 guests. We end up recruiting his mom and dad, all this stuff. So Rick Stevens calls his buddy, his business partner, right? They're 20 years old. They had started a computer company together. That was in Santa Barbara. He calls his buddy in Santa Barbara. He goes, hey brother, I need your help. I need your help. He goes, I've been challenged to come to this meeting. I gotta have a guest. I need you to drive from Santa Barbara all the way to Azusa, right, to come down to this meeting. He's like, okay. So literally, his guest drives all the way down. He has another 2 guests that come. We run the same play at the BPM. One of his guests is a guy by the name of Steve Hay. Right? So Steve is sitting in the BPM, and he's watching everything, right? And you know Steve grew up in Coto de Casa, right? You know Coto de Casa behind the gates, you know, it's the other side, right? And Steve's kind of looking around, and at the end, he folds his lit card and, you know, folds it, puts it in his pocket. He walks out, right? And in his mind, he's like, this is not for me, right? He walks out, he's walking to his car. Malet comes out the meeting. And Malet said, hey, Charlier, where's that guest? And I told Rick, where's your guest? He says, oh, he left. So Steve walked out and was going to his car. Rick Stevens comes walking out, comes running out, and said, hey, Steve, where are you going? He goes, Steve turns around and goes, oh, no, this is not for, he goes, what do you mean it's not for you? Man, this is our shot at the big time. Man, this is an opportunity. I thought you were my friend. He said, man, let's get back in there and set up a freaking interview. You're walking away from this opportunity like that. So Steve comes back, he goes in, he sets up an interview. So now Steve is sitting in front of Malet. Reminder, Malet's 28 years old. He looks at Steve. How old are you? He says, I'm 20 years old. 20 years old? We don't work with people that's 20 years old. Here's the deal. You need to set up an appointment with your mom and dad. Tell me about your mom and dad. So, well, my dad's a dentist, and my mom's working dental practice, blah, blah, blah. He goes, here's the deal. Short story. He goes, if you can't set up an appointment with your mom and dad to show your mom and dad what we're doing, then we're definitely not working with you. So Steve leaves, books an appointment with his mom and dad. His mom and dad is Louise and Dave Hay, right? So Malet goes down with, I think it was the Adams, I forgot his first name. Goes down, does an appointment with Dave and Louise, right? He sits down, puts a plan together for them. They bring a couple of accountants. They do their financial strategy, all this stuff. And at that time, I'm still on base. So Malet calls me and says, hey, remember that guy that came down? We just sat down with his mom and dad. Boom, we invited his mom and dad to the BPM. So I want you to think about this. Louise and Dave at the time, they're living in Coto de Casa. Like you ever seen the Orange County Housewives? Louise Hay was the Orange County housewife before, like, Louise was at tea parties at the Ritz-Carlton, and, you know, the big hats and the big glasses, and Steve grew up in that environment, right? So our office is in, like, the hood of freaking Covina, like the freaking hood, right? So Malet told me they come to the meeting, right? And our office, like the furniture was rented furniture, carpets dirty, all of this stuff, right? So I'm standing right BPM, and right where they're shining, there's a window. You can see the cars pulling up and people parking. And I see this couple, right? They pull up in a convertible. This lady had this big hat, looked like Jackie Kennedy with these big glasses, big scarf, and, you know, they're walking, and I was like, what the hell is that? Where are they going? I know they're not coming in here, right? Like, we have no AC, the whole deal, right? It's like a sweatshop, locker room, good. And they walk in, right? They walk in, and you know, like, Louise denies this now, but Louise walks in, she's like, you know, like when you smell dirty carpets? You know, like, she's looking around. stuff. And we're doing BPM, you guys. We're doing BPM in Malette's office. There's only like 10 chairs that you could put in there, right? So Malette does the BPM, all the stuff. Louise rolls up her thing. David rolls up his thing, and they were planning. No, we're not going to do this. This is below us, right? So Malette goes, hey, set up an interview. This is an opportunity that can change your life. And I remember, sometimes when you recruit people in the business, I remember because my identity about the business was so low. And I was just like, God, do I really want to have these people in my base shop, right? Because my base shop at the time was a bunch of Marines, right? So I had like 25 Marines in my base shop. And then you have Dave, Louise, and Stephen. Like totally out of place, right? So it's all Marines, right? I'm like yelling and screaming, we're going to do this, we're not going to do that, blah, 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 no pansies, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And at the end, and all my Marine buddies, they're like, Sean, that couple, man, they're not going to make it, man. They can't handle this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying my best to blow them out, right? And next thing, and Louise's like, I don't know if I can do it, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm yelling and screaming, like all this stuff, right? And I think about it now. 22 years later. Out of all those people, right? You got Steve. My buddies in the military used to make fun of Steve. They used to make fun of Steve. You know what? Who's laughing now? I still say to myself, they're doing the same stuff that they were doing 22 years ago. So every now and then I talk to Scott, I talk to Ron, I talk to John. I go, hey, remember that kid, Steve Hay? They go, yeah. I said, do you want to know what he's doing now? Remember Louise Hay? Do you want to know what they're doing now? Now I want you to think about this. That happened my first 90 days in the business, right? If you're on Steve and Louise's team, stand up. If you're on the Dream Givers, stand up. You think about that. That entire hierarchy, right? That entire hierarchy. Listen, guys. That entire hierarchy came from that one invite. Here's what I want you to think about. You're literally one recruit away from an explosion. Now, when you hear that, you want to know what my one recruit was away from an explosion? My one recruit was Steve Hay. What if you left this event and you got really specific? Because sometimes we think it's so big, we got to do so much stuff and all this stuff. What if you just decided at your meeting this weekend, you know what, I got to get clear. I got to get clear on what is it that I'm looking for, the exact profile of what it is that I'm looking for, and I'm going to start inviting people to my BPM. Now, it's 2020 now. We're in a whole new era now. Can you imagine the next 20 years, what it's going to look like the next 20 years? The biggest leaders in Synergy Financial are being recruited now. There are some people that are sitting in the back right now, which will be the next giants in our business, right? Now, I want to challenge you, right? Tonight, at the award ceremony, I want you to get a little competitive. You guys heard Marshall Clark up here, right? I want you to get a little competitive. I want you to size some people up, right? And there's some people here that are frankly just kicking everybody's tail. They're just kicking everybody's tail. And what I'm going to bring out now, I'm going to bring out the belts. Right? Can we have the belts now? bring out the belts. And we're gonna look at, now we've got to run from now till convention. In every category, right? Can we pull up the belt recognition up there? In every category. So the personal category, where's the personal belt? Now the personal category, every single person in here can compete in this category, right? Now, who had the belt last time? Rachel O'Connor, right? Rachel O'Connor, her name's on the belt right here, right? And are we starting with personal first or MD first?
MD.
MD first. So we're going to start with the MD belt. Now, if you're an MD, stand up. Stand up if you're an MD. Stay standing. This is your category as an MD. Now, not all MDs are created equal. Not all MDs are created equal. So there's 5 MDs that separated themselves from all the MDs in here. So once your name goes on that screen, right, I want you to come up here. So number 5 that separated himself from the pack was Sam Martin. SMD, if you're an SMD, stand up. All the SMDs. That means EMD, CEO, EDC. If you're an SMD, stand up. So all the SMDs. Now all great things come to those who build a big base shop. All the awards, all the recognition, all the funds, all the travel, all the competition. Everybody wants to know your name if you're running a big base shop, right? Now, it's so much fun when you run a big base shop, right? Just dominating, everybody hating you because you're kicking their tail, right? Now, base shop category. Here the SMDs, top 5 SMDs that separated themselves. Number 5, Earl and Lynn. Listen to this, guys. What's the excuse? Ernie, what are you like, 62? Turning 63 next month. You're never too old in WFG. Number 5. Number 4, Nikki and Kermit Patty. Incredible job this week, you guys. Number 3, Melissa Barros and Peterson. Number 2, Natalie and Ryan. Number 1, there's only one number 1. Actually, number 1 called me and said, Coach, can I just keep the belt in my office? What's the point? Number 1, base shop. Who's number 1? On stage. The belt winners stay on stage. All right, this is a whole different category. Do I have the super bass next? Yes? This is the super bass category. The super bass category, which means that you're an SMD, build some SMDs. The top 5 in the super bass, top contenders. Number 5, Hiram! a licensed agent, you can compete in this area right here. Number 5, personal, Griselda and George Cadena. Now listen to me, you guys. After we announce number 1, we've got just a couple of minutes for all of us to leave the room because they got to get set up for tonight. Okay? You guys want to know who number 1 is?